All right, guys. So today is going to be crazy episode from someone who was on the FBI most wanted Secret Service, and he's here interviewing some fraudsters making millions. And without further ado, we're going to jump right in.
Come in the bank, hand me the slip, and I'm going to give you the money. We left out the bank with $100,000.
How many people a day were coming in?
At least 20 people a day. I was a bank teller, and then I eventually went to new accounts. But how I got into the crime was when I got into new accounts, it was like $1 million accounts, older people or whatnot. And the system is different than it is right now. It was more easier to manipulate the system.
This is a crazy story. And before we even dive deeper into this whole story, I want to talk about the interviewer, Matthew Cox. He was actually on the Secret Service most wanted back in 2006. I mean, Matthew Cox was placed on the U.S. Secret Service most wanted in 2006, and most of his crime had to do with bank fraud. It's crazy. I wanted to make sure we put things in context so that you guys understand that the person that's interviewing this lady is actually a fraudster too. And that's what makes him qualify for the job, right? Damn. So let's take a quick look at his story.
Matthew was charged with wire fraud, bank fraud, money laundering, government document fraud, social security fraud, aggravated identity theft, and a few other charges. Yeah, they threw the whole book at him.
I pled guilty because I'm extremely guilty.
Yeah, so that's his story. He was literally a con artist. And just to give you a little story, so he basically was meeting with, stealing people's identities and creating their credit profile. So perfect example, he was acting like he was performing a survey for the Red Cross and would go to homeless people, meet with them, and literally get their social security number and all that information. And to your surprise, he walks up to them, tells them, hey, we're doing a survey. We give $25 back to whoever completes the survey or whatever. So for $25, he was able to get someone's social security and identity. And basically, he just created a credit profile. He will go to the bank. He will get a fake ID, open a bank account, create a story, have a fake company that pays pay subs. And as a result of that, get loans. So that's what he was doing. And he was doing it across borders. And he was stealing bank loans on different identities, giving bank accounts fictitious names just to be able to get into it. But I mean, I can't even explain it the best way. He was a criminal. That's just what it is. So let's jump right in. And now he's interviewing this lady that's doing her hustle, and her name is Ronnie. And I had to look her up. I'm sorry, because I always want to know who we're looking at, right? So Ronnie is American gangster. She calls herself a trap queen. All right, cool. So let's take a quick look at her Instagram page before we can dive into this interview, so you know exactly the personality or the type of person we're looking at, right? So obviously looks like she did her body, so go figure. You're making all this money, you might as well take care of yourself. So that was the interview. Okay, she definitely got some Botox, right? Do you guys agree or no? And yeah, she is a trap queen for sure. All right, let's see what else. All right, so she's got a nice body, that's for sure. And what else? So there's nothing too crazy on her page. It's not like she's showing any crazy lifestyle, flashy things or anything like that. She's simply just traveling, enjoying her vacation, enjoying her life, and that's just what it is. So nothing too crazy. So let's get back to the story.
Withdraw like 8,000, 9,000. So I would give them, come in the bank, hand me the slip, and I'm going to give you the money. We left out the bank with $100,000.
How many people a day were coming in?
At least 20 people a day. I was a bank teller. And then I eventually went to new accounts.
That's crazy.
But how I got into the crime was when I got into new accounts, it was like $1 million accounts, older people or whatnot. And the system is different than it is right now. It was more easier to manipulate the system. So I would have my cousin and other people in the hood come and withdraw like 8,000, 9,000. So I would give them all the slips, like the withdrawal slips. I would have them come to the bank with the slip. I would give them the account number that I'm going to withdraw the money from. It could be an IRA account, a CD account, mutual funds. And I would withdraw like $8,000 from each account. It was hundreds of accounts.
Right.
So I would have them come in there with the bank slip, and I would tell them just to hand me the slip, and I'll do my thing, act like you're handing me an ID. Back then, they didn't really have cameras inside the banks when you worked there. And I would withdraw the money and give them the money.
This is absolutely crazy. Now, keep in mind, this is back in the days, all right? If you go to the bank now, the security is upgraded and there's a lot more, things that go into a bank teller transaction. But in this case, basically, she was just a teller. And it seems like it was extremely easy because things were not that automated and there weren't no checks and balances in place. So she was able to get away with things. But what she's basically saying is, in the US, which is funny because the rule has not changed, right? In the US, there's something called the Bank Secrecy Act. And basically, this is an act that the BSA authorized the Department of Treasury, which is the government, to impose a reporting requirement on financial institutions. So basically, this act is saying that all financial institutions are required by the Department of Treasury to report certain transactions based on the value of the transaction. So specifically, regulation implementing the BSA require financial institutions such as banks to, among other things, to keep record of cash purchases or negotiable instrument, basically any transaction over $10,000. And this is the reason why in her story, all the withdrawals that she was making was under $10,000. So the funny thing is, that was back in the days. And it's crazy because I won't say it was genius because she wasn't supposed to be doing that, but it's incredible that she was able to find a loophole and just take advantage of it. Because back then, if you think about it, people didn't have mobile apps, so you weren't able to see what your balance was. And most people back in the days will simply go to the bank and say, hey, can you tell me what my balance is? And that's it. They'll write it on a piece of paper because they cannot say it out loud. They don't want people to know. So it was easy for her to just target older folks because older folks are pretty much more laid back. They're not really into the details, and sometimes they get confused easily. So she focused on them, and most of those older folks are not going there to withdraw their funds. They're simply just going there to get an update on their account or simply just figure out when next they're going to get their payout, which is their dividend checks or whatnot. So she basically capitalized on vulnerable people, which is kind of lame, but it's sad.
How did you what led you to doing this? Like how did the idea kind of foster,
Well, they were older. So when my older clients would come in and they would have all these millions in the account, I had basically built a rapport with them. So I would know when they're coming in, what they're getting. Because, older people, they really don't. When you have a CD account, they let them season.
Right.
To get their, the interests on.
So when she says let them season, basically it's like older folks invest differently from younger folks. So the young ones are investing for growth. So you're putting your money in the stock market, you're trading it actively, you're monitoring it, you're trying to make that money. But when you're older, your investing strategy changes from growth to preservation, and also for fixed income investing. So fixed income investing is when you invest into things that are going to give you fixed income. So it could be corporate bonds, treasury bonds, it could be CDs, it could be stocks paying dividends, and basically anything that will bring you fixed income, because now they're retired. The only source of income is coming from their investments. So what she was saying with these guys is, if you buy a CD, you can lock it in for 6 months, you can lock it in for years, and all they're doing is they're putting their money into this and they're expecting the interest every quarter or whatever it pays out. So for her, she was able to figure out that, hey, listen, this is money. and millions, like she said, sitting in these accounts that are seasoned, meaning they're going to be sitting there for a minute because they're being, charged interest. They're creating interest for the person that owns the bank account, so they're not going to be withdrawing it anytime soon. So you're seeing, as a bank teller from the hood, money sitting there, and you're just like, yo, I mean, one and one, might as well jump into this and see if I can get away with it. And that's what she did.
So the only thing they want to check, honestly, is the interest when they come in and talk to me because they're familiar with me. So I kind of like monitor the older crowd on how they came to the bank. They would never notice that the money was gone. To this day, I don't even,
Right. Well,
It started to make me feel like maybe her coworkers were in on it. Because there's no way, like, if she's on vacation, if she's on PTO, or if one of those older folks came to the bank and wanted to do a transaction, if it was with her, then she had it covered because she can simply just, come up with the numbers or whatever they need to see. But if it's another teller that's not in on this, then it would be easy for her to get cut, because if someone, an older gentleman or lady, comes in and want to withdraw cash and it's not the balance that they wanted or that they're expecting, it's going to create, is she going to get cut? So I don't know. I don't know how she was able to pull that off, but that's crazy.
you just started to realize, like, this is what's happening. Like, I could probably pull out some funds.
I could probably manipulate the system. Right. And I tried one time with my my big cousin. I told her to come in the bank, and I told her went to her house. I told her exactly what to do. So I said, come in the bank, hand me this slip, and when you hand me the slip, I'm going to give you the money and just leave. So she came in the bank. I had it filled out, the account number, the name of the person, and I just scribbled the signature. So when she came and brought me the slip, I did everything in the computer, and I gave her the $8,000.
What?
Damn. I didn't know it was that easy to steal a bank. You know, this is crazy. It's like you don't even need to go to the bank with a mask on to try to rob a bank. You just need to be an employee and then figure it out. And she certainly did. She was basically making close to $100,000 a day. Now, she must have drained those accounts like crazy. Because if you think about it, you try it one time and $8,000 comes out. What do you think you're gonna do? It's like a dopamine hit. It's crazy.
What year was this? Like,
this was like. Roughly. This was in the 90s.
In the 90s.
The early 90s.
And what did she say? Was she like, when you told her to do it, was she like, absolutely not? Or was she like all in?
She was, well, you know, I was the bad girl. They just didn't know because I was the innocent one, honestly. So she was like, do what? I said, just come in the bank, hand me the slip, and I'm going to give you the money. It's going to be okay. Only you and I know, right? So she came in the bank, exactly what I said, gave me the slip, and I gave her the $8,000. And later on, she was like, I could do this again. I said, get all the people you can to come to me. And
of course, after step one worked, I mean, think about it this way. You're thinking of an idea and you're in the hood, all right? So it's not like you're making crazy money unless you're doing some dirt shit like this one. And you pull something and it goes through. You're going to be like, yo, we need to milk this as much as possible. And the funny thing is, the girl, her cousin, was nervous at first, and all of a sudden she's like, yo, I could do this again, because that's some easy money, man. Damn.
Draw the money from me. And I had so many people coming in the bank, but they didn't know.
So just during the day, you're like, okay, this account would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ever thinking like
it'll be audited?
Well, what I was thinking was like now we have the apps, right? Like
right.
I check my bank app all the time.
Me too. I lock it.
And what I'm thinking is like, you kind of know that I know that when, Mr. Johnson comes in, mm-hmm. he'll make a deposit or he'll ask about this, but he never mentions like how much is in my savings account. And I noticed that money's been sitting there dormant for forever, or correct. He's got these CDs. He never, like you said,
mm-hmm.
never really checks them. He might say, "Hey, what's the interest on that, or what's my dividend, or what?" But he's never really saying, "What's the balance of those?"
Correct.
So you just kind of start to know.
I would know. I memorized everything. I memorized. My mind was like out of this world. I would remember account numbers, how much they have in the account, how much they made in interest, the dividend. We'll remember everything.
I think that was. I don't think I have a great memory like that, but then I do understand that she had a great incentive to remembering the bank account and the balances, because if you know you can make 80,000 next week, or actually not even next week, the next day, and so on and so forth, you're gonna do your homework so that you can stay on top of this money. And clearly, she's a trap queen. She don't play with her money, so she certainly had, put some thought into it, and she was definitely displaying some, mental. What is the word? It's the freaking word? Acumen or whatnot. But anyways, let's get back to it. I can't think of the word. Forget it.
So when they come in the bank, I would know exactly what they're going to ask me. See, back in the day, it wasn't like you could get a copy of your bank statements. You would write it down for them. So I would write it down exactly what they were asking me. So they never really asked, the older crowd would never really ask how much is there, like, what's my balance in my savings account? Or
and you just write it on a slip.
I'll just write it.
Which account? Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Mm-hmm, and they'll never miss it.
Damn.
So, and you're like around 8,000, because if it's over 10,000,
we have to do the paper.
Right.
Yeah.
So how many people are coming in to
a day?
Like, yeah, a day? This is happening, like, you're doing this every day?
I would do this daily.
Man. Are you at the teller?
I'm at the teller.
Or so you don't have you're not one of the people that are at, like, they have a little cubicle somewhere. You're at the teller.
I'm at the teller,
Okay.
and then eventually I will work. And the banks were different back in the day, so I will work as a teller, and then if they want to go to their safe deposit box, I'll go to my desk and walk them to their safe deposit box.
You ever had a safety deposit box?
Do they have those anymore?
No.
I used to have one.
Do people still use the safety deposit box? I mean, I see it in movies and all that stuff. I worked as a bank teller, as a matter of fact, back in college, actually. And that was back in 2006, 2007 or something like that. So I'm a little familiar with the process, but that was in the 90s. Like, we still needed to report if there's any transaction over 10,000. We still needed to do some check balances at the end of the day. And we did have a safety deposit box, but I mean, people were using it, but it was mostly older folks. And yeah, I haven't even heard or seen anybody use those since. I know some people use it just to save and keep things there, documents and wills and craziness like that. But yeah, I've never used a safety deposit box. I don't know what you put in there. Like, because I wouldn't put cash in there. I'd rather have that in the bank, because if anything happens with that, like, it's supposed to be secret. So if you lose it, you cannot report it or try to get it back. I don't know. It's crazy.
I got when I got in trouble, they brought me to my safety deposit box one time. That was embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these two officers walk in, and I have to be like, I need my safety deposit box. These two guys are standing there with their ID.
Yeah, you've been stealing all kinds of stuff, so they definitely want to see what they can get back from you. So yeah, makes sense.
And they're like,
Right.
oh.
And it's crazy because how I got this idea, my big cousin, who I used to go to San Francisco with, and she used to pickpocket. That's how I learned the game. She would have me there to be a distraction.
Right.
She thought that I didn't know I was being a distraction, but I had done it so much as a little girl, I knew exactly what was going on, because when she would pickpocket, we'll go sit down and have lunch, and when she pickpocket whomever around us, she would always take me shopping. So it was this time they had came up on something really big. I guess someone's mutual funds and college funds. So one of her associates asked me to go in the bank with them, put on a baseball cap, and sit there, don't say anything. And they gave me a college hat. I think said Cal Berkeley or something like that. So I just sat there, and he talked to the new accounts guy. I'm like, yeah, I'm just withdrawing the college funds, and she's about to go to college, whatever. And at that time, we left out the bank with $100,000.
They counted out $100,000.
$100,000. We
kidding
also
me?
had savings bonds. I don't know if they have those today. We cashed savings bonds.
Oh yeah, I remember the saving bonds, man. It's like a certificate. That is, damn. They still have those?
He took everything out the college funds, So I was sitting there just
Now, this is extremely sad. It is a story, so it is entertaining, but it's important to understand one thing. This is somebody's livelihood. You do understand that, right? It's not like they're going to withdraw their own money. They wiped out someone's account by over 100K. I just want this to sink in, all right? You are going about your business, living your best life and everything, and then come to find out that your bank account has been wiped out. And not only is it your bank account, it's your kid's college fund that was redrawn, completely wiped out. And she's saying it so casually, but I feel like people should actually put this in context and understand that these are people's lives that they're affecting, right? They're not stealing from, I don't know, Visa, MasterCard or something corporation where they're going to take it as a loss, right? Or a write-off. They're actually taking a significant chunk of someone's money. Older folks that are clueless, don't see it coming, they're taking that. Same thing with, the pickpocket. Getting to a point where you're able to get 100,000 from someone's college fund. That is impressive, but also sick. It's really sick. And then you look at her, and it's like,
listen.
You're living your best life, doing what you want to do, looking all cute, hanging out with your family and all that stuff, And this is like somebody could have taken your kid's college fund too. You know what I mean? It's crazy. How do people do this and they're very comfortable doing this? Not worrying about other people, not concerned about anything one bit. They're simply just, I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna do me, and I don't have to worry about a damn thing. It's like I don't get it. I really don't know how people do it. I mean, I don't mind the act of stealing and doing what you got to do. What I do mind is how it affects the people that are being affected by it. So for me, I'm just disgusted, to be honest. But that's besides the point. She's a hustler. She got the money and all that stuff. But it's important to know that, technically speaking, if you put your money in the bank account, your money is insured at least to a certain amount. That's number one. Number two, if it's of no fault of your own, the bank should be able to work with you to be able to refund you that money. Because if somebody withdraws money from your bank account from $100,000 and they had no authorization to do so, and the bank is the one that failed in protecting your account, technically they should be responsible to get you your money back. So that's the good thing. And then after that, they will go and chase after these criminals.
So
Right.
that gave me an idea. I want to work at a bank.
Right. So this is possible. So
Yes.
are you saying you got the job at the bank thinking this is something I could do someday, not just as like, oh, I got a job. So it wasn't really at the bank.
No,
that you
at the
figured it out.
time, I just got a job.
Okay. But
I
you
was
had
around-
that in your mind.
Yes, it was always.
Yeah, the girl was slick, man. And I think I do admire that with her. And this is one quality that I want people to understand. When you go through lives, don't be naive, pay attention, and open your eyes. So like she mentioned, when she was a kid, she was going to this place in California with her cousin or her sister or whoever that would pickpocket people around her and use her as a distraction. Be self-aware of your situation and your environment. And I'm not talking about the people that are being pickpocketed on. I'm not saying that. I'm simply talking about her as a little girl being able to pay attention to what's going on, formulate an opinion and a strategy as far as how I can capitalize on the situation. She did that with bad intentions, but I'm just saying, assume that you do the same thing with good intentions, where you're in a high-end restaurant and you're able to notice, rich, wealthy people around you, how they talk, how they present themselves and stuff like that. Formulate that into new ideas for you. Maybe you want to start a business and you realize that in a high net worth environment, people are very sharp on time. They're very sharp on their delivery, and it could be anything. So all I'm just saying is start focusing on awareness so that you learn how to take advantage of the situations that are around you and learn from those experiences so that you can level up to the next level in whatever endeavor you want to get into.
In my mind, and I always like money because how I was raised. From my father,
That's
my,
right.
my father always had money, his lifestyle.
Yeah, well, I don't know anybody that's adverse to money. I don't know. Anybody.
Right.
I'm not interested. Oh, thank you.
Damn right.
I always wanted to be a boss like my father.
Right.
Basically.
That's right.
So, are you still living with your grandmother?
Right now? No, my
No.
Oh, okay.
Then.
Oh, then yeah, I was still living with my grandmother.
Right now.
Because my grandmother was really strict. I had a daughter at a young age. I was 15 years old. I had a daughter at a very
Whoa.
young age. Yeah.
So grandma's raising her too?
Well, she's raising both of us,
Right.
you know. And my grandmother, she was Pentecostal, so she didn't believe in abortions and all that stuff or whatnot. But I didn't know what I was going to do with the kid. I just knew my grandma.
You guys are noticing the necklace, right? And then well, she doesn't have a ring, so I don't think she's married. But the necklace and the bracelet. Now the watch is it's hard to see, but I don't know if it's like diamond watch or whatever. But you can see the bracelets. Pay attention.
It was going to help me.
She
So I was
ballin'.
pretty nervous.
So you're at the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever say how many people a day were coming in?
At least 20 people a day will come in. Sometimes I would change up the number. It wouldn't be 9,000 all the time. Maybe it'd be 5,000. Maybe it'd be 2,000. But I used to switch the amount up all the time.
At this point, I mean, at what? There's got to be a point when you
Stop.
start, or you start to think if there's an audit,
That's
that
when I-
is an extreme amount of cash to
Yeah,
be
it is.
flowing out of the bank.
Mm-hmm. So what you have to do back then, everything was paper.
Right.
So you could fill things out. So before, when I did stop, it was a discrepancy. But the bank manager was so confused, she looked over it. So at that point, when I was this close to getting busted, I learned a new game, which is called cash advances, which is the approval game.
Okay.
So that's how I learned the approval game. One time a customer came in the bank.
Well, wait. Let me ask you this. Go back for a second.
Okay.
The manager comes to you and says they've done like an audit.
And it
gonna
was
get cut.
$20,000 missing. Because I used to shuffle things around.
Right.
And that's one thing. I had missed something. It was my mistake. I'm a human
Right.
error or whatnot. And she was like, let's just do this together just to make sure because I know it was $20,000 somewhere missing
Right.
with the paperwork.
Ooh, so they were about to start an investigation and take a look and see where the missing 20K was. And that's the manager coming into the office and like, yeah, we're missing 20K. And obviously the manager didn't do a good job because the manager she was being nice because obviously she's not going to, say that she thinks she's missing or stole the money. Obviously, that's not what a manager should do. But at the same time, as a manager, you should be responsible for making sure that things are being done the proper way. And in this instance, she was able to manipulate the numbers real quick and pretty much in front of the manager, which it's crazy. Unless the manager was in and she's trying not to call it out.
And somehow I manipulated the paperwork where it all balanced out together.
Yeah, there's no way. Because if the manager, think about it this way. If you do the reconciliation firsthand, you're going to have all the information that you had, which is all the checks and all the cash and all that stuff. And then, I'm off 20,000. And then you're going to do it again. And then you're not off 20,000. A normal manager is going to be like, oh, shoot, what happened? Like, why did we miss it the first time? Like, what's the difference? Where was that 20K that we're missing? And instead, the manager didn't do that crap because this girl was able to manipulate. So meaning she just upped the number by 20,000 to make it balance. And if I'm a manager, I'll be like, why did we mess up the first time? But obviously that manager didn't give a damn. The manager was just like, yeah, as long as it matches, cool, we're gone. So that's what's letting me think that the manager was on it or the manager was just careless.
Okay.
And that was that. But I came that close to getting in trouble where I was like, I can't do this no more.
I had something had happened one time, and this was this was in 2000 and I'm going to say 2006, where one day we went to log on to like my account or something, or I called and it was in the negative, like 99999 across the thing. And it was like, but I had like, let's say I don't know what I had, but I had like 100,000, 200,000 in this bank account. And it's completely fraudulent, by the way.
Correct.
I had a real ID or driver's license from the DMV in the name of a homeless guy. And I'd opened a bank account, borrowed money, everything. And so when I called, say, hey, what's going on? They're like, we need you to come in the bank. Now, typically, if you're involved in fraud, you don't go in the bank. You're like, oh, that's it. And you
Yep. You dip and you run. The last thing you want to do is get back in the bank because they're calling you in so they can lock you up.
take off or throw everything away and hope it doesn't catch you. But I knew that this guy didn't. This guy lives in under a bridge 5 states from here.
Correct.
They don't know this is stolen, and I have an ID. So I was like, okay. So I went down, and I was like, what's going on? And they were like, and they looked, and they said, well, you withdrew like $20,000, something. They showed it to him. I was like, no. Like this was like 2 days earlier.
Right.
And I went, no. I got a cashier check for $10,000.
Right.
You guys have 10,000, then you have another 10,000, and they're like, right. And at the end of the day, the books didn't balance, and this is what we found out. And I said, no. You guys issued me a check for $10,000 for a closing or something. Mm-hmm. I said, I don't know what this 10,000 is.
Now, do you guys realize one thing, okay? So this guy went back to the bank, and he's disputing with the bank the fact that they're short in his account by 10 grand. And this is an account that is a fraudulent account that he created from stealing someone's identity, a homeless person's identity. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, he would literally devise plans to be able to capture people's social security numbers that are unfortunate or unaware, older folks, children, or homeless people. And once he has that information, he will create an ID for it and then go to the bank and just open a bank account. He's got the money. He can open a bank account. Anybody can open a bank account. And if you have enough history with the bank, you're able to get loans. And anybody can start a business, right? So what he would do is he would create a business. He will create pay stubs. And by the way, anybody can do this, all right? So hear me out for a second. And I run a business, so I know it's very simple. You start an LLC. You get a mailing address, a location, whatever the case may be. So you have a legit LLC. You can open the bank account for that LLC. And then what you need to do is you can hire a payroll provider like ADP and so on and run payroll every 2 weeks. Or if you don't want to even use ADP to do it, you can run your own payroll yourself. But if you're trying to get a bank loan or whatnot, then you want a solid pay sub provider that's actually legit, then he's going to go with ADP as an example. And then what happens is you have your own company that runs payroll. So now the thing is this, ADP has nothing to do with the company. ADP is not going to go to your company and be like, hey, what is this guy doing to be earning $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year? So basically you're able to say, I can earn whatever income I want. Like seriously, think about it this way. And think about how some wealthy people use that to their advantage. I mean, think about it. If you own a company, you can go hire a third party to run your payroll like ADP. And then your pay stub could be $10,000 a month. ADP is simply going to say, let's run payroll every 2 weeks. It's going to cost you $10,000 plus fees. And we're going to pay this guy $10,000 every 2 weeks or every month. And what happens is this guy has money on the side somewhere in another bank account. He's going to fund the business bank account with maybe $15,000. And then ADP will run the payroll where they're going to pull out the $10,000 plus their fees and then disperse the funds based on the employee's information. So that would be the fake bank account's information that he has. So now when he has a bank account that he used with the fake IDs, he's going to be able to go to the bank and show pay stubs coming in as direct deposit every 2 weeks for X amount. And now if you go to the bank and you have pay stubs, you have bank statements that show their amounts, then you can get a bank loan. Because remember, those are homeless people that have no credit, right? So all he's going to do is he's going to get a credit card for a small amount, for 1,000 or whatever. And then next thing, he's going to get a line of credit and so on and so forth. And he's just building that credit. And then he gets a mortgage with it because he has proof of income. And that's where he just messing things up. And this is just with one person. So you can think of the extent and how easy. I mean, you have to understand there are flaws in almost every system. There are flaws in almost every system. In the IRS system, in the banking system, in the immigration system, in the lifestyle system. There's flaws everywhere, basically speaking. So some people pay attention and just target those and take advantage of it. And that's exactly what he did with these people. But that's just to give you context of how, like, the audacity of, you know, it's a fake account. You know that you're stealing people's information and ripping up the benefits. And you're going to the bank arguing that the balance is not correct and they need to give you the money back.
So and what, at the end of the day, just like you said, the books didn't balance, and they were asking me, and I was like, no,
to help them figure it out,
right? Help them figure it out.
So you can manipulate the system.
Well, no, I didn't. It was genuinely
error.
It was an error.
Okay.
They had, like, the person, like, I guess at a different bank or something, they actually would remove it in cash. They put in like a cash.
Oh, it didn't balance out. Instead of doing a cashier's check.
To buy the cashier's
exactly.
check. And their system wasn't like that. And whoever helped me, who was from another bank, so it still took them like a day or so. I called back. I was like, because they turned my alarm. They turned it back on. They put the money back in. Because I was adamant. I only took $10,000. They're like, okay, well, we'll look into it. And they put the money back in. They said the account's okay. You're fine. And then a couple days later, I don't know if I went in the bank or they called me. Somehow they explained, like, here's what happened. We had somebody else, a girl at another bank, blah, blah, blah. It was a problem. So she double hit us for $10,000. It was a complete accident.
It didn't balance out. I know.
Right.
Because things were done so differently back then.
But when they came to you and she explained, like, were you shocked? Were you like,
I was nervous. I was scared. I was thinking, like, what can I do or whatnot? But I knew her so well, and I knew the system so well, where I kind of manipulate her to think that it was balanced out. But I quit that bank and I went to a different bank.
Damn, she's smart. Once she saw the dirt, she left. But then my other question is, if you're redrawing thousands and thousands of dollars from someone's account and then you leave, those people, meaning the old folks that are going back into their account to the bank to withdraw their funds and collect their, monthly salary or investment income or whatnot, why is it that the other employees did not pick up on it, or at least give the new balance to the old folks or the customers? I just don't understand how she didn't get caught.
Because I was that close. Because it was so easy getting jobs. Once you work at one bank and you get bonded, it's easy for another bank to hire you.
Right.
As long as you didn't get fired.
I got a quick question, and when you answer it, you can just answer it to Matt.
Okay.
But how soon did you get up to, would you said 8 to 20 people a day or something?
Yeah.
Like, how quick did you scale that, and how much money, like, how quickly did the people scale and how quickly did the money scale?
Meaning,
like did you did your
friend.
your friend came? Was it your friend or your
my cousin? Yeah,
your cousin came once, and then maybe a couple days later she comes again. And then how long of a period of time before it got to 20 people a day? Was it like 3 days, or was it like within 2 months I'm doing 20 people a day?
Well, you have to think I'm from the hood.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
so
You're trying
people
to
was
get
hungry.
paid.
You know, everybody wasn't living how me and my grandparents are. Everybody's parents wasn't working or whatnot. So it took, I say, maybe over 30 days.
And then that's
30,
100,
between 30 and 60 days. Yes, I was getting a lot of money.
It's 100 to 150. How much are they getting?
Is it 50%?
I would give them half.
Okay,
I would give them half.
So 20 times 4,000 is 80,000
a day.
And sometimes it was 9,000 because
Yeah.
I wouldn't go over 10.
How long did that go on before?
I did that for like a good 6 months because I was already working at the bank.
So where is this? Is all in cash? Where's the cash?
I'm the vault custodian.
Right.
So I'm the fall custodian as well.
I mean, doesn't it feel like they need to have separation of duties for
Back then
you've got too much control.
I had to, yeah.
And how long had you been working before they put you in this position?
When I first worked at the bank, I was a bank teller. And
For how
then
long?
I saved for maybe like 6 months. And then they made me new accounts.
And also over the vault.
And I was a vault custodian. Yes.
Like that seems like 6 months and you're in a position of trust.
Within a year, because I was there for at least a year and some change because I jumped from bank to bank.
Doesn't seem ridiculously fast.
Then no, but now I would never.
Well, you have a better concept of time now.
Yeah.
But then when you're a kid, for 6 months for a kid is an eternity.
Yes, it was just, to me, it was the high. That was my high. It was never drugs. It was that.
Where is this cash?
I would hide it under my grandmother's rug or in her closet, in the shoebox.
How does she? I mean, did you go out and buy a brand new car, or
No, eventually I did. Well, then, my grandmother, I was really spoiled.
Right.
So I really didn't have to do things.
right?
I just did it because it was.
That's dumb. I mean, think about it. Why would you go through? I mean, I know there's an excitement of, doing something you shouldn't do in the first place and getting away with it. But then at the same time, you also need to understand that there are consequences to your actions. You're not a child. And if you are in a position where you don't even need to go through that whole stuff, why in the hell would you even put yourself in this situation in the first place? And I know she was from the hood and everything, but she said her grandma was good. So why in the world would you even do that? That is so dumb.
It's fun, basically. And it made me feel like I had superpower or something like that. It's like an out-of-body experience.
I'm sure she had superpowers because if you think about it this way, she's from the hood, and I'm sure word spread out. If you go to Queen T, Queen Ronnie, you can get like 4 bins in one day. Of course, people are going to line up. Of course, everybody's going to look up to her and be like, so I think that's the high she's talking about. She was probably getting a good dopamine hit just knowing that, if she goes out at night, everybody knows her, everybody knows about her in the hood, everybody knows that she's the hood supporter, because anybody who needs money can make money real quick, real fast, legit, with no consequences. So yeah, she definitely loved the hype. That's better than a drug, I guess.
Can't really explain
Right.
it. But eventually, I had back then, Honda Civics was really cool. I had a brand new Honda Civic and I had a brand new Honda Accord. I had 2 cars. My grandmother financed it. Like back then, like when your grandparents, if they give you permission to go to the Honda dealership, you could go and sign. I don't know, but
Right.
I signed or whatever. So I got me a Honda Civic and a Honda Accord because, you could get 2 cars.
And you're making the payments.
And I'm making the payments to my grandmother.
So to them, it doesn't seem odd.
No, because I'm still working.
Right.
So they're not thinking that I'm doing something that's illegal.
So after you skate through the audit, how long before you quit? And
Maybe like 90 days because I didn't want to just jump and have a red flag. Maybe like 90 days I applied for another job at a different bank. And then, I worked at a different bank.
And started the process all over again. That's crazy. Well, she was smart. I have to say that. 90 days, 6 months, a year. She was definitely taking her time to learn everything she needed. But the lesson here is, I want people to understand, back to my point from earlier, is that no matter what situation you're in, learn the system. And I'm not saying to learn the system to take advantage of it. I'm simply saying learn the system so that you become an expert in your field, an expert in whatever you do. So if anything, you know how to handle the situation, and you'd be surprised. It could give you opportunities for starting a business, starting a side hustle or whatever. But be mindful. Instead, a lot of people go to work and they're just like, like those horses when they have the vision thing or whatever. I forgot what it is. What is it called? And you guys can put it in the comment below. But horses have these window thing or whatever so that they can't see anything other than in front of them. So I feel like that's really what's happening with a lot of people. They're just focusing on, they can't see anything else instead of opening their mind to learning and exploring other options or whatnot. I think they're more like donkeys, really, with a carrot dangling in front of them, which is your paycheck, and they're like, you know what, walk 2 more steps and then you're gonna get that that salary at the end of the month or in the next 2 weeks. Once you get that, then they're gonna put another carrot for another 2 weeks, and then so on and so forth. And people get trapped, and that's what they call the rat race. It's like it's never ending. It's a never ending cycle. But if you're open-minded and you look at what's happening around you, you might be surprised. You might be able to get out of the rat race a lot sooner because there are opportunities everywhere.
I worked about 4 different
Good or bad.
banks.
So how did the next bank, how did the scam develop?
I was working as a bank teller again.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned how to do cash advance, which is called the approval game today.
Now, think about it this way. She's constantly learning every step of the way. She was with her cousin or whoever pickpocketing. She started thinking about bank, and that's the reason why she got into a bank. When she got into a bank, she started learning about deposits and money sitting there just being seasoned. Then she started looking at opportunities, and then she started thinking, and then eventually she decided, you know what, it makes sense to move on to the next one. And now she's learning about a new thing. And I'm not talking about her learning about a new scheme, obviously, because she's thinking negatively, that's where her mind is going. But I'm talking about if you think positively, that every single situation you're in, you could grow and learn from it. People should be open-minded to learning. Learn from people around you. Learn from what you see and see what's happening, and then leverage that to level up.
Okay.
So one time, a young lady came in the bank and her card declined. So on the box, it said call customer service. So I called customer service and I gave them the name, the last four of the credit card, and the expiration date. And then they did ask to speak to the customer to ask them some personal information. So when they asked to speak back to me, and then they gave me the approval code. So back then it was a knuckle buster. It wasn't like a receipt.
Approval code. Oh my goodness. Damn, she was doing this during the good times.
Come up how it is today. We have the knuckle buster. So I wrote the information down, and I wrote how much. I think it was a cash advance made for like $8,000 that the lady was getting. And then that's when a light bulb came in my head, and I was like, okay, this is my next one.
Oh my goodness, man. Opportunities are everywhere, just like I mentioned earlier. It's like crazy. This girl's mind is like, it's like a watchdog. It's like literally life is passing her by and she's like this. And then just learning and looking at every opportunity that comes her way and seeing what makes sense. And I think most people need to be like that and do the right thing, not crazy stuff.
Basically.
These meals changed everything for me.
So anyway, so what I'm saying is this is a crazy story, man. It's a really crazy story what she's doing out here. And people, this is happening every day. And the funny thing is, this guy literally has a page, and this is Matthew Cox, Inside True Crimes. And what he does is he interviews fraudsters, which I think is quite interesting. I guess this is a resource for people that want to learn scams, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of this the channel is. Maybe it's educate people, maybe it's entertaining people, whatever the case. This is a lot of storytelling and resources. And for me, what I want people to take away is learn to understand how people think, to elevate your own mindset, not for you to do something crazy like what they're doing over here. I'm simply saying that, like in the story that we're watching right now, which is this one, learn her mindset. She's an opportunist. She understands that there's opportunities everywhere. And she's not stuck in one job for 20 years. She rotates and elevates. She's constantly going to the next deal, to the next hustle. And that's the mindset you need to have. Whenever you want to watch anything, whenever you go to work, anytime, make sure you keep your eyes open and learn from what you see around you. And you'd be surprised how far you can go. But anyways, that's his channel. And let's
But
get
you
back
need
to the story.
you need the physical card to do this?
Yes, you need the physical card at that time. So what I was putting my plan together. So every time someone would come in and an authorization, so you didn't have to call all the time.
Right.
Sometimes it would go through all the time, but the authorization code would pop up on the little screen. So I would start writing the authorization codes down because at that time I thought that's what I needed. I didn't know I was going to do this, but I was writing it down anyway because I was running out of money, the other money I was getting. You know what I'm saying? So I would just spend.
How you running out of money when you're making $80,000 a day, man? 80 to 100K and you're running out of money. Damn, her lifestyle must have been nice. That's crazy. And that's the other thing. Why are people greedy? $100,000 a day, and you've been doing it for months. So I can only imagine how much money she has. Instead of walking away and moving on, like, okay, you did your dirt, you didn't get caught, move on. I don't understand how to make a career out of it. Like, why are you moving on to the next bank? And again, it's got to be that dopamine hit. It's got to be that high. It's got to be the reason why she's doing it, because there's no reason why. And you have to learn how to have the discipline to get out. Like, why in the world would you keep doing? I guess when you don't get caught, you think you can do it forever, maybe, which I think is stupid, because you need to understand something. There are some people that their job, their full-time job, is to catch people like you. So why in the world would you think that you're going to outsmart not just one person, but a whole organization that hires people to find people like you? And I think that's, I think that's maybe the thrill. People think they can get away with it. Maybe that's why they're doing it. Or they're getting a high thinking that, oh, they're smarter than the whole organization, like the Secret Service not being able to get caught, or, the IRS, whatever it is that they're doing. But I think that's just a dumb thing. People are always going to get cut, man. It's just a matter of time.
Spinning. I was
It's
spinning.
not worth it.
So one time I worked there for a minute, and eventually I had a friend come in the bank with a card because
She's got a lot of friends.
my cousin used to pickpocket, so they had credit cards and IDs. We had an ID man. I can't say his name, but we had an ID man online.
ID man. Ooh.
He was Hispanic, and he would always get us IDs when we call. So I would get an ID made to the credit card that my cousin would give me, and have somebody come in the bank with me and do a cash advance.
Okay, on a card.
On a card, an old card. It don't have to have anything on there. So what they do, they slide the card would decline. I would act like I'm calling customer service just to see if it's going to go through or whatnot. So I'll just act like I'm calling customer service or whatnot. I would hand the person the phone, and they would talk, and I already explained this to them.
Oh yeah, they know what's happening.
They know exactly, but they were scared to death. But I was confident that I knew what I was doing, right? So I would fill out the slip, because back then it was a slip you would fill out for the credit card, the name, address, whatnot, and how much they're getting out, and I would put the authorization code there or whatnot. But I knew the system, but it has to go through the system as well so it can balance out at the end of the day. It takes 14 days for anything that you do authorization to come back. But it wasn't me, so it wouldn't be on me. It would be on the customer if they don't know. Because back then you could be a non-customer to get a cash advance.
So how much?
This is crazy. So this girl literally learned her hustle in and out. So it's like, let me get this straight. So anybody can come in for a cash advance, not just a known customer, right? If it's a known customer, then the bank is able to trace them back, and they have a bank account. They're able to trace the customer. They have their information. If it's a non-paying account, if it's a non-bank customer, then it's a little harder, right? Because they don't have that established relationship. So anybody can come to do a cash advance. And from what it sounds like, basically, if you do a cash advance, whether it passes or it fails, it doesn't matter, which is so crazy. I never thought about that. This is insane. So it doesn't even matter if it declines. They're going to call and get an authorization code if it works. So my understanding of this is very simple. It seems like You call customer service so that the bank for the credit card can review their account and say, yes, your limit is over. You're over your limit, but we would authorize it for this one time, this instance. So therefore, here's the authorization code this time around. That's the code she was getting. And it looks like basically she was just writing down that code. So she would pretend like she's making a call with the customer in front of the coworkers, and then just basically run the card, which would decline, but then she would just simply put it in the system. That takes 14 days to circle back. And honestly speaking, and this is the reason why AI and things like that can't happen today, because AI is going to be able to detect a pattern. Because what's going to happen is at the end of the month, they're going to have a monthly report that's going to show all the transactions that had issues, concerns, or whatever. And AI is going to be able to create a summary and link any consistencies, any, what's the word? Similarities across all those cases. And the similarity would be her account, not her account, but her login as the person doing all these transactions that end up having issues at the end of the month. So in today's world, she would have gotten caught so fast because there are systems in place to identify things like that. But back then, they didn't have AI. Back then, everything was paper made. And it's like, who's going to go back and review 1,000 slips to identify any consistency? The manager that's barely getting paid anything, they're not going to do that. So she was able to get away with this thing. And then she had an ID guy. So basically, they were just skimming, pickpocketing credit cards and just matching different people's IDs to be able to perform this. And it's, of course, fake IDs. So if after 14 days the thing bounces, they can't get anybody because it's a fake ID.
So what are you getting these cash advances for? $6,000, $8,000?
I will always do the max, like $9,999, as long as not over $10,000.
That's greed. $9,999, like damn.
Right.
I will get the max.
And so, I mean, did they have suspicious activity reports back then, or was it just
No.
the cash transaction reports?
Just the cash transaction reports. They didn't have suspicious.
Okay.
Only when it said call, but I'm working in a bank. So when it says call, that's a good thing because you could manipulate the system.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
So you can call them up and say, oh, yeah, no, they're here. I see the ID. Here's the numbers. Here's this.
And they'll give me the authorization code.
This is crazy, guys. It's insane. I can't believe somebody could get away with it. And the funny thing is, there are a ton of scammers out there. A lot. For him to be able to interview all these people scamming, corrupt, setup, luxury dealer, night, like, it's crazy. It's a world of bad people out here, boy. Like, what?
Back then, we were getting, eventually, after the fourth bank, I was over it. So I went on the road.
Well, so how long did you do this scam at that bank, and why did you leave? Why'd you stop?
Well, at that bank, I got in trouble because
Okay.
I cashed a check. That was my first case in '97.
Okay.
So I don't know what I was thinking of. I was just doing everything. I went into the bank to a person I thought was my friend at that time, and I went to go cash a bank for $7,500. And I think the manager remembered me from working at the other bank. It was the same bank.
Right.
She worked at one, I worked at the other bank. So he remembered me from working at the other bank, but I cashed a check for I made her cash a check for $7,500.
But this wasn't your check. This was just
It was just a check.
Stolen check. From
Yes, I
somebody.
stole a personal check. Because, back then you could see all the information. Do they have checks or whatnot so you could get a check? So,
Right.
I got a check, I cashed it, and she got in trouble and she told on me. And that
Okay.
was my first case in '97.
Okay.
And that's when I left that bank and I went to Menlo Park.
Well, you say you got
Damn. So you almost got caught, or at least I don't even understand her thought process. Why would you go to another bank?
in trouble. Did you get arrested?
I got arrested.
How did they come and arrest you?
Well, she got in trouble, and then she called a friend and she said, tell Ronnie that the police is looking for her. I got in trouble, and basically she said she told on me.
Right. And so did they come to your grandma's house?
No, I had to tell my grandparents. because they were coming. So at that
What'd
point,
Grandma say?
yeah, she said, "You what?" I said, "Grandma." I said, "I'm in trouble. I need a lawyer." I said, "They want me to come to the federal building, and I'm in trouble."
Not
You
little
know?
Ronnie.
Yes, little Ronnie. She couldn't believe it. She was flabbergasted. She couldn't believe it. So it wasn't funny at that time because I was scared to death. But we got an attorney, which was a janky attorney. My grandpa paid $7,500 on his credit card. You know, Papa had a whole bunch of credit cards. It was real stuff though. Papa don't do stuff like that. But he
So it was in the family. That's why. Damn.
paid for my attorney $7,500, and I had to go to the federal building to talk to someone downtown Oakland, which is the federal people, because they want to know, like, you know, what was going on. But I was always raised from a little girl. You don't talk to anyone. My dad instilled that to me since I was a little girl. So when I went to the federal building to talk to the people with this janky attorney, and they start asking me questions, I act like I passed out. So they could take me to the hospital because I thought they was going to take me to jail, literally. So I knew at that point, when I went to the hospital and passed out or whatever, I was going to jail. I was in trouble.
Right.
But that's when I got on ankle monitor.
So they charged you with what, bank fraud?
Bank fraud, cashing a fraudulent check, and bank fraud.
So-
I didn't get in trouble for the credit card stuff and all that shit. They didn't know
it's
nothing about that.
Right. But this is a bank fraud charge. You got placed on home confinement?
Home confinement. I think it was for 10 months. For 10 months.
Oh, okay. 75. Yeah. Well,
I
Damn.
don't think
that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not hard. Like I don't think you should have go to for $7,500. You shouldn't have to go to jail.
No, I don't think I should have. But for some reason, I don't know why I jumped. It's crazy because ever since when I got into the crime or the game or whatnot, I never had state anything. It was always federal. So that puzzled me.
That's straight to. I was gonna say. I have a question. So you're on ankle monitor. Like you can't work at a bank now, right? Like did you get another job at a bank?
I did.
So you're still going to a bank?
I went to another bank.
So you're working in another
I didn't
bank.
work at that. Okay, I worked at one bank. I quit that bank, went to this bank, and then I just forget it. I went, excuse my language, I went to where the white people was.
Right.
to go work there.
But I thought, so they didn't check your references or you didn't put that reference down?
I didn't put that reference down. Long as you're bonded, you're bonded. They would just want you to be bonded.
And so the charge didn't catch up with the bond and cancel you out as being. All right, so now you're working at another bank, and I'm assuming you
I knew what I was going to do. I was doing straight cash advances. I knew
That is so crazy. So I'm just trying to figure out how she worked in the bank with an ankle bracelet and nobody noticed. Because that would be kind of awkward if you actually go to the bank and then you see one of the employees that actually have an ankle monitor. Like, would you do a transaction with her? Open your bank account or tell her your information so you could do a redraw and she can see all your information? I don't even know how she got away with it. But again, that was back in the days, man, in the 90s.
I was just going to get over because I knew eventually I was going to quit and I was going on the road.
All right, and so do you complete probation?
I completed my probation. I was married at that time, and when I got sentenced to the 10 months, I was pregnant with my son.
Okay.
So I was a little older.
Right.
Now. Yeah.
And so you finished that. So you said you worked for 4 banks.
Yes.
Went to another. So was that the last bank?
That was the last bank.
And then you just one day
because I worked.
I
I don't want to say the names of the bank, but I worked at this bank, and then I worked at this bank, and I transferred to the same bank with a different location.
Okay.
And then my last bank, I knew I was just going to take their money. I knew that.
So you.
Damn, she's blunt. She doesn't play. So, I mean, at this point, she was a professional teller. That's the way I look at it. Professional teller that knew exactly what she was going to be doing. She was going to empty people's accounts. That's it.
You quit there, and when you say go on the road, what were you going to do? What does that mean?
Meaning, because my friends around me, they're like, where are you getting all this money from? Appearance change, different Mercedes, jewelry, like everything changed, So you don't want to eat around your friends and you don't feed them as well. We're all one. So instead of me looking out for them, I taught them the game as well.
Yeah, that's a mistake, by the way.
A big mistake.
Yeah,
I would have never got in trouble.
I was going to say,
But some of my friends were solid,
all turn
though.
on you,
Yeah.
and then it's your fault, and the truth is that they wouldn't have probably done the same for you.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely
but you
not.
don't. You're young. You don't really think about it, because that's the same kind of stuff I did. Was I started helping them run different scams and do this and money here, and then from the moment they got in trouble, they all rolled over.
Oh
on
yeah,
me.
It's very interesting that he's saying that, because truth be told, when he got caught, when we talk about snitch, he was one of the first to snitch as much as possible, because and the report, it basically says that he was facing a very, very long time. Like, he was facing a very, very long time. And eventually it was dropped to, he only did, gosh, I'm trying to see where that information was. But basically he was facing a very long time. At a minimum, it was like 54 years. And guess what? He ended up doing only 13 years. And the one thing I want to point out is this, right? You have to think about it from this perspective. If the US government realizes that there's a loophole that somebody picked up on, they're not just trying to arrest you and lock you up. They're going to try to understand how you did it. That's extremely important. How you did it. Did you do it on your own? How you were able to bypass the current systems and, balances and checks that they have currently, so that they're able to learn from that experience and make sure that no one else comes after you to do this whole thing. So if you do something that's so major like what he did, because he got almost 5 to 55 million, they say, in loans and fraudulent activities, it's a federal offense. So it's big enough for the federal government to want to be involved. And it's extremely important that they close that gap and that loophole. So anytime they're going to catch a criminal, they're going to try to interview them, sit down with them, give them a plea deal, and say, hey, listen, if you work with us and explain to us exactly who helped you, how you were able to do it, then we're going to be more lenient. Instead of you doing 55 years or whatever, we're going to give you a lighter sentence. So for him, he was on the 2006, he was added to the most wanted FBI list in 2006. He was arrested later in 2006. He was tried in 2007. And then he was released in I forgot what years it was, but he did maybe like 13 years or something like that, whatever it was. He didn't do anything near 56 years. And that's because he was able to provide as much information as possible, which is a good thing. It's totally fine. And this is the same example or scenario with, think about it this way. If you have a hacker, let's say kid or someone in the US from any part of the US that is so smart and knows how to hack, so smart that he's able to hack the most difficult places like the Secret Service, the CIA, or the FAA or whatever. Like, he's so smart that he's able to hack into anything. Do you think the government, once they find out, first of all, if they're going to arrest him because he committed a crime, that's normal. But do you really think that they're going to arrest him and keep him locked up? They're going to be like, we need somebody like that on our team. It's either you're going to teach us how you did it, or you're going to come join us and we're still going to monitor you so you don't do anything crazy, or we're going to lock you up and never let you out because you're such a threat to everybody, right? And most people would prefer being out than locked up. So they're going to basically tell them what they did or how they did it and provide consulting services, whatever. So it's not unusual for, banks to, government officials and, all these people, when you get arrested, to want to learn exactly how you did it. So that's funny that he's saying this, because that's exactly what he did. When he got caught, his mouth was open. So for him to say that advice, like,
16
and
people.
blame me.
Yeah, 16 people told on me.
Yeah, you
I
put
got the
me
most
in this
time.
position.
Right.
You begged me.
So you
to
wanted
come.
this.
Yeah, you begged me. What are you doing? How can I get in? Help me.
Bad.
Yeah, your friends change once they're facing time. That's for sure. That's not the time to start testing the loyalty with your friends, because you might get locked up for a very long time because you're trying to help people. So anyways, that being said, you know, it's an hour interview, so I'm not going to jump into the whole thing. I'm going to add the link in the description to the actual interview. It's about an hour and 34 minutes. If you want to go into it and watch the entire thing, you can certainly do this. But for the purpose of this video, I wanted to be able to share the story that there are some con men out there. There are some people that will steal your information, take advantage of you. So be careful. Whether you're walking on the streets and letting pickpocket get your credit cards, there are people that their career is to take advantage of other people. So be cautious. And with that said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.